Okay, so the title of this video is not just clickbait. It's not just me looking for views or whatever. It is the truth. I may actually lose my job because of a social justice warrior, because of a triggered snowflake. Now, let me explain to you what I mean by that. Now, I work for a prominent appliance delivery company. I won't bring in the name because it doesn't really matter in this situation. I don't want to bring that into this. But it is one of the most prominent appliance dealers in the world. One of the top appliance sales companies. And I do delivery for them. Me and approximately probably a couple hundred other employees at this one facility do delivery for them for across New York State. So, it was the end of the day. I had finished a day of work. It was in basically what could be considered a common room, and I was filling out some paperwork at the end of the day. On the table in front of me, I had on my phone white YouTuber's newest video, my last video, which I was just playing for my own amusement, to which many other people found incredibly amusing. And rightly so. It was a genius white YouTuber. It was an excellent video. It was hilarious. I mean, I think I got you 10 new subscribers today. Especially when you were roasting that whole family. I mean, my God. I had about 5 people in tears just laughing at that part of that video. And like I said, these people asked who you were. What is this? And I said, this is a YouTuber I watch. His name is The White YouTuber. And I recommend him to your channel. And hopefully they subscribe to you. And I hope also you're doing well with your back surgery. I hope you're feeling well. Best wishes. And I wish for a speedy recovery to you. They asked me about how I found you and other YouTubers I watch. You know, of course, I watch a lot of YouTubers along those lines. White YouTuber, Gemini, Sargon of Akkad, Shoe on Head, Armor Skeptic. You guys are basically my heroes. Kind of sad to say that out loud, but I mean, I love you guys. Anyway, so yes, we were just talking. And I said, let me throw in another video. So I brought up Gemini, namely, Bill Nye is a fraud. I started playing it. Like I said, we're filling out paperwork, and I just have it play it on the table, and we're just listening to it, chuckling and giggling at the appropriate moments. It came to the part where Gemini was questioning whether or not Bill Nye was a scientist. In the fact that Bill Nye is actually an engineer, which is true. He is an engineer. He's not a scientist. Well, one of my fellow employees apparently took this very personally. And when I say triggered, I mean triggered. This person began to scream at the top of his lungs at me about who is this person? Who is this person to say that Bill Nye is not a scientist? Who is he? Is he a scientist? Is he an engineer? How can he make that? How can he make that decision? What grounds does he have to make it? I mean, and I'm saying this calmly, but he was vehemently screaming this at me at the top of his lungs in a small conference room, and I was I was taken aback at first. Like, how is this person so triggered on this? Like, I didn't know if it's are you Bill Nye's boyfriend, or are you an engineer? So I just told him, I was like, why? Like, what are you so upset about? You know, like, why are you so upset about this? And he said, who is this person to say anything? If he's not is he a scientist? If he's not a scientist, like, who is he to say? And is he a Webster dictionarian? Can he, who is he to dictate who is and who isn't one thing or the other? And I told him, I said, he's right. Bill Nye is not a scientist. Bill Nye is an engineer. And he just became irate, screaming and yelling. And I said, well, hold on a second. You want to say, that this person, Gemini, cannot say Bill Nye is not a scientist because he himself is not a scientist. Well, you know what? I am. I am a scientist. I have a bachelor's degree in environmental biology from SUNY NSF. That is the State University of New York School of Environmental Science and Forestry. I have a degree in environmental and forestry biology, a bachelor's degree. I believe in the scientific method. That is the definition of a scientist. Scientists create hypotheses. We question things that we see in front of us, and we create a hypothesis to figure out what it is, what it isn't. Why are things the way they are? Once we create this hypothesis, we create an experiment to test this hypothesis, to see if it is true or not true. These experiments involve a variable and a control. One thing that changes and one thing that doesn't, and we compare the two. We then, once we create this experiment, we then implement this experiment, and we observe results. The results are then interpreted, and a conclusion is made based on scientific evidence. No other factors. That is the scientific method. That is what a scientist is. Now, what is an engineer? An engineer is a person who takes a scientist's work and implements it into real life. Both are equally important. Both are a yin and a yang to the society we live in. One cannot exist without the other, very literally. If there were not engineers implementing a scientist's work, then a scientist would have no point to make that work, because there would be, in this capitalistic society we live in, there would be no reason for a scientist to come up with these experiments. And if there were not engineers to take these scientists' methods and results and implement them in the real world, there would be no funding for these scientists. But it is undeniable that the two of them are separate things that are indeed connected. That being said, that being fucking said, where it gets really interesting what happens next. After questioning this person, and I said to him, I am a scientist. And I can tell you that that engineers are not scientists. And he became irate. Well, how are you a scientist? You work for a delivery service. I go on, and I told him I have a degree from SUNY ESF. You know, I have a bachelor's degree in environmental and forestry biology. I am a scientist. Well, if you're a scientist, why are you working for an appliance delivery service? Because I made poor life choices. I tell this right to his face. I smoked too much pot in college. I made bad life choices, which led me to this shitty situation that I'm in right now. Namely, sitting in this conference room arguing with your dumbass. At which point he knew he had lost the argument, and he responded, well, I feel I just won the argument. That's what he said to me. I feel I just won the argument. I go, what? What do you mean you won the argument? What argument did you win? And he's like, oh, well, there's nothing I can say back to that. I don't feel I can even respond. I just won the argument. What argument have you won? What is the argument you are making right now? Well, at which point he realized that he had no argument. At which point he realized he had not won. At which point he probably realized that he's just a delicate snowflake who was triggered by a stupid video on YouTube that meant absolutely nothing to him, and that he had just made an absolute fool of himself in front of the entire workforce. To which he responded to me that he's going to report me tomorrow to Human Resources and Management, that I was watching inappropriate videos on company time, which he was offended by. So yeah, that's where I sit now. A father of a child who's working to support her, who did nothing but watch a video with a couple other people who were enjoying it, at which point somebody became offended and is now threatening my livelihood because he became triggered by a video that I had nothing to do with him. And if he had just asked me, so would you mind turning that off? I would have turned it off. That's where I sit right now. I just put my daughter to bed, and I sit here worried that I might not have a job tomorrow. Well, actually, not tomorrow, excuse me. I have the next 2 days off, so I have 2 days to stew on the fact that I might not have a job in 3 days from now. This is what social justice has done to this country. And it's not right. It's not right at all. And I have to sit here and worry about my job and realize that there's a real chance I might lose my job. Now, I'll get to your arguments that are being made right now. Yes, I shouldn't have been watching videos on my phone at work. Absolutely. Absolutely. Will I lose my job solely for watching a YouTube video at work? No, I will not lose my job for solely watching a YouTube video at work. I might get written up or get a verbal warning and say you should not do that. But no. The real point of the matter is I was watching a YouTube video that someone became triggered by. And that is why I might lose my job. Might lose my means to support me and my family. I don't know if this is going to happen, but I just know that it is a possibility. Because I know that this is the society we live in these days. And it's scary to me. It's really scary. The fact that I know that I might not be able to provide for my daughter in a couple days from now because some stupid social justice warrior is offended by a fucking YouTube video I happen to have on my phone when he walked in the room. So, I just wanted to put this out there. I wish I could end it with some great epiphany, you know, and I'm sure I'll be flooded by comments about how I brought it upon myself and all this other thing. But then, you know, if I lose my job and I can't provide a home for my daughter, is that really justification? The fact that I watched a video that someone might be offended by, then the person wasn't even in the room, happened to walk in the room when I was watching it. Is that justification for me not being able to provide for my family? I don't think it is. I don't think it is at all. Not one bit.